This is the Eugenia plant. It is a bushy shrub that can make your garden colorful. It's fast growing, dense, and with beautiful glossy leaves. The new young leaves are orange-red and they gradually change color to yellow-orange, then into pale green, and then dark green as they mature, giving the plant a colorful appearance. Eugenia plants are also grown as a colorful lining in walkways and as a row of fence in the garden. You may plant it along the fence or grow it tall to make it a privacy screen. Others also plant this to make an edging for the property line. Eugenia can be grown as a tree or shaped into topiary shrub in different forms because their tolerance in pruning makes them very good for topiary works. And to propagate this plant, you can start growing from tip cuttings. You can propagate this plant easily. Take some cuttings from the tip of the branches and cut at the semi-woody portion of the tip of the branch, about 6 inches long. Or you can trim the plant and cut longer stems and get the planting materials later. Place the base of your cuttings in water to prevent them to dehydrate. And when it comes to soil, use a well-draining potting mix that will allow the free drainage of water. You may also use any kind of soil, just be sure it is a well-draining soil. You may add compost or cow manure to make it fertile. You can also add some grits or other coarse materials to make it loose and airy. Make sure that water can pass through easily and will not become soggy. For me, I'm using 1 part loam soil, 1 part compost, and 1 part rice hulls. Cut the stems about 6 to 8 inches long, and as usual, take the lower leaves and leave only few leaves on the top. Then fill soil into your pot. Moisten the soil so you can easily stick the cuttings in the soil. Sometimes the cuttings will break if the soil is dry and hard. Then firm the soil around to hold it in place. And after planting, water it thoroughly until water flows at the bottom of the pot. And then enclose it in plastic bag in order to retain moisture and the cuttings will not easily dry out. The plastic bag will create a moist and warm conditions around the cuttings and this will encourage the roots to develop. Then place your newly planted cuttings in a place away from direct sunlight. Do not place it directly in sunlight because the cuttings will dry out and will die. Under good conditions, the cuttings should begin to root in 3 to 4 weeks. Grow Eugenia in well-drained soil. These plants grow best in wet soil with good organic material content. You may add topsoil and some composted cow manure. It is important that the soil and the area to be planted is well draining because these plants do not like areas that are always wet and waterlogged. And as for watering, water the plants regularly, especially in hot days, allowing the soil to dry slightly between waterings. And when the soil becomes dry, water it thoroughly and deep. Water young plants twice a week until they are established and growing well. Do not overwater, it may cause the plant to develop root rot. These plants like a bright and sunny location. It can also grow in partial shade, but not in deep shade. Eugenia can be grown also in large container or even indoors in a sunny spot. Those grown in containers need more frequent watering than those grown out in the yard because they have less soil to hold water. They are fast growers and you can trim the plants into your desired size and shape. And when it comes to fertilizer, the plant will love it if you give a lot of organic feed like compost or ground manure. You may also fertilize the plant with balanced fertilizer 3 times a year. Just be sure to follow the level instructions. But otherwise, it does well also without much attention. When it comes to pests, Eugenia is generally pest resistant. The white flies, aphids, mealybugs, and red spider mites can infect the Eugenia plant, but they make no serious damage to the plant. You can let the plant grow naturally with less trimming or trim regularly to shape the foliage. If you plant it in pot, use a large container or planter. These plants can be pruned tightly for a very neat look and they are very well suited for topiary work in pots for patios and decks or hedges. Thanks for watching, guys!